Lesson 4. I can solve for unknown angles in word problems and in diagrams involving all learned angle facts. This is the third and final lesson that really deals with the angle relationships. It is very similar to lessons 2 and 3 with a few twists, so I will probably try to skip through some of these exercises to speed the video up and try to just focus on the stuff that might look a little new or tricky. So recall and do remember these angle relationships again: vertical, adjacent, complementary, and supplementary, and any angles that might add up to 360 degrees. Let's go ahead and get started with the example 1. Find the measurements of angle FAE. FAE would be this angle, and angle CAD, which would be this angle. And basically, the one thing I'm going to start you off on this one and then turn you loose is that all these angles add up to 180 degrees along this blue line. So we have 6x, we have 90, we have 2x, and we have this blank that we don't know. And we can't put another variable such as y because you can't have a y and an x in the same equation. So we're going to have to use logic to figure out what that missing degree is. And we can do so just based upon what we see on the diagram. So if I erase that blue line and I take a look at this, 170 degrees from here to here. Well, 170 degrees plus this next missing angle is going to add another straight line. I'll try to use a different color here. So we know that for that straight line that this missing blank must be 10 degrees. So we just logically figured that out. No equations. I mean, we could have set up an equation 180 equals 170 minus 10, or 170 plus x to realize that it was 10. But something as simple like that at this point in time for lesson 4, you can just logically think through that. Because the next picture is even bigger, which is what we have to find of these two, of this 180 degree line. So then I do want an equation for this. 180 degrees equals 10 plus 2x plus 90 plus 6x. Now we can determine what the value of x is, and also then find these two angles. Once again, I want to kind of skip through some things. So the next example deals with vertical angles, which we did several times in the last video. You just need to realize that these two equal each other. You can set up an equation, 5x equals x plus 132. You can solve from there. Exercise 1, again, vertical angles. Sorry, not vertical angles. We use vertical angles because B and B are the same, and therefore this straight line, these three angles have a sum of 180. So 37 plus B plus 43, and you could solve the rest from there. Exercise 2 has a bit of a twist to it, similar to the explanation I had at the first problem in this video. We can figure out something just logically. We know that, get a 180 degree line here. You know that's a straight line, so it's 180 degrees. We know that B plus 95 plus this angle adds up to 180 degrees. Can't just put another variable because we already have a variable of B. However, logically we can figure this out because we have a 90 degree angle here, which means we also have a 90 degree angle here, and 80 plus, we'll call it x, 80 plus 10 equals 90, so we know that this is 10 degrees, and it's a vertical angle to this angle, so we know that that's 10 degrees. Equation figured out, solve for B, and you'll find your missing value. Let's move on to example 3. This is where I want to spend a little bit more time because if you note, there is no diagram. So the measure of an angle is 2/3 the measure of its supplement. Supplement keyword, we need to know that that adds up to 180 degrees. and we need to find the measures of the angle and its supplement. So angle and its supplement, there's two angles. So if we wanted to draw a quick picture, we have two angles that add up to 180 degrees, angle A and angle B, and we simply need to find both of them, the angle and its supplement. So let's think about this for a minute. Supplement means that x and y, or a plus b, either one, the two angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. The only thing that we know about this relationship, other than the fact that they're supplemental, is that the angle is 2/3 the measure of its supplement. So we know that 2/3 of x equals its supplement. 2/3 of its x equals its supplement. So we have the angle 2/3 x, which is one of the angles, so 2/3 x. And we know that the other angle is just x. And the two of them together are going to add up to 180 degrees. And since, for substitution purposes, since y is y and 2/3 x equals y, we can plug that in for the y. So we have angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees. We combine those like terms together, so we have 1 and 2/3 x equals 180 degrees. Divide both sides by 1 and 2/3, or 5/3. Get x equals 108 degrees. Now that's the value of x. We need to determine the value of 2/3 x. So we take 2/3 of 108 equals 72. And the value of this, which I didn't calculate ahead of time yet. I'm sorry, this isn't correct. Yeah, I just did it for you. 2/3 times 108 is 72 degrees. So that's the value of the second angle. And the picture, now that I realize, should have been flip-flopped. If 2/3 x has to be the smaller angle. So there's the x and its supplement, which is only 2/3 of it. That might help you understand the equation a little bit better. Since this is new, let's do one more like it. The measurement of an angle is 1/4 of its measurement of its complement. Complement adds up to 90 degrees. So the same idea here, we have two angles. One is going to be x, and one is going to be 1/4 x, because it's 1/4 of its measure. So we have 1/4 of x plus the original x equals 90 degrees. We have a total of 5/4 x, which is really just 1 and 1/4 x. Divide both sides by 5/4. X equals 72 degrees. That's step 1. Step 2 is to then determine the next angle, which is 1/4 of 72, and in this case is 18 degrees. Alright, rewatch those last two videos if you need any help with those types of problems without diagrams. Let's move on. Example 4 is finding angles that we may not need, but we need to find them in order to find what they're asking for. So we may have to do some math to figure this out. It might just not be obvious. So let's take a look. We need to find the value of z. Now, if I wanted to find the value of z, I would probably want to use this 180 degree line here. However, well, no, I'd probably want to use this 180-degree line here, because I know that z plus something equals 180 degrees. Now that something, we'll just call it a question mark, is this angle. We don't know what that is, so we're going to have to solve for this question mark first before we can actually solve what they're wanting. So let's change colors and focus on that question mark. Something I notice about the question mark is we have, matter of fact, this is going to end up in a dead end, but I'll try to explain it and use it as a learning tool here. We can't find the question mark. We know that this angle is 90 degrees, but we don't know what this angle is. We know 29. We don't know this angle. So there's too many questions here. We actually can't find the green question mark. So I'm going to take a different approach to this. I'm actually going to try to find this value, because that is angle Z. Angle Z is equal to 90 degrees here plus our question mark. So the question mark is what I have to find first. So let's rethink this with the question mark. I'm going to focus on this 180 degree line, and 180 degrees is question mark plus 90 degrees here plus 29 degrees. So if I simplify that, 180 equals question mark plus 119. Subtract 119 from both sides. 61 equals question mark. Now I can plug that in and use it and solve for Z. Z is equal to 151 degrees. So again, you may have to find another angle in order to find the value that they're wanting to find. I'll get you set up on this one. I will not finish it for you, but it's the same idea. We need to be able to find the value of x, and that's what they're asking for. But we're going to need to find this value first. And really, when you sit down with these problems, you can look and try to determine what you do know and what you don't know. Here's another one that you don't know, and another one that you don't know. And you may ask yourself, which one of those is going to help me find what I'm looking for? If I'm looking for 4x and 5x, and I know that this is a straight line, all I'm missing is this angle to find that value. So 180 degrees equals 4x plus 5x plus question mark, and really question mark is just another variable. So that's really step 2. We need to jump back and figure out what the question mark is. So in order to find the question mark, look at what we know. We know that 36 and 90 and the question mark are going to add up to 180 degrees. So 180 equals 36 plus 90 plus question mark. We've got an equation with only one variable. We can solve for the question mark, which ends up being 54, I believe. And then you can plug that 54 into your second equation and solve for x. Alright, that should be enough to get you through lesson 4.